Amid the dangers of the African wilderness, it is unclear whether the Masai Mara people and its protectors intended to conceal a powerful pride of lions descended from the legendary lineage of the terrifying Notch lions. This pride was left to fend for itself, struggling to survive in the face of imminent death from all directions. At that time, the Notch coalition was striving to establish its kingdom and expand its territory, when one of the cubs was left behind with his siblings and some lionesses. He attempted to survive against a newly dominant lion who had taken advantage of the Notch coalition's distraction with expansion, breaching their borders and seizing control of the lionesses. Some cubs were killed, while others survived, including our adventurous young lion, Erles. This cub would later become the strongest among all the descendants of Notch. Today, our story reveals his charm and glory, and how the invading dominant lion saved his life, leaving behind his own remarkable mark in Africa's history. It was the beginning of 2011 in Kenya's Masai Mara Reserve, when the Notch coalition crossed to the other side of the reserve with its offspring, living in glory and spreading fear everywhere, dominating various prides of females along the way. The vast extent of their control was one of the reasons why the Notch coalition abandoned certain groups along their path. After mating with the lionesses, they spread their genes throughout the region, proving their strength and their right to rule over the vast kingdom. In the midst of this expansion, the pride where Erles and his siblings lived was abandoned. He was only a few months old, but his features and determination already hinted at his coming strength and great ambition to create his own legacy. That year, the Notch lions' insatiable thirst for power and dominance knew no bounds. Perhaps one reason they left behind Erles and his pride to other roaming lions was that they thought this group was weak. The Notch lions controlled as many as 11 different prides, which they returned to periodically. They always needed to keep rivals at bay. However, because the Notch coalition spent so much time away, intruding males believed these abandoned prides were leaderless. After miraculously surviving, Erles overcame all the obstacles he faced from his youth, preserving the honor of the strong legacy that ran in his blood. Rumors spread that his mother had hidden him for weeks to protect him before reintroducing him to the pride. This distracted the dominant lion. When Erles returned to the pride, the new king had calmed his rage and desire to kill the cubs upon his arrival. Instead, he spared the young cub, who continued to grow. Erles's body grew larger and stronger with time, resembling that of his new father figure, before the lionesses gave birth to new siblings. As the eldest cub, Erles protected the younger ones, being relied upon to defend the pride. But the great dangers of the wild did not spare him. His life was once again at risk in the near future, just when he thought he would grow up safely within his pride. Within a few more months, Erles reached maturity. Since he was not the son of the ruling male, he was at great risk of being challenged or even killed by the dominant king. But the determined young lion had a strong personality. He accompanied the lionesses during hunts and enjoyed showcasing his natural talent for bringing down large prey. He was a true leader, guiding his siblings and never allowing any of them to feed before him. For his age, Erles combined unique personal traits with extraordinary muscles. When wildlife rangers discovered him and observed his behavior, they began to think he might one day challenge the king of the pride, perhaps even dethrone him. But Erles still lacked experience in fighting. His hunting skills would not save him in a bloody battle against another massive lion. Since the two males coexisted in the area, the ruling lion made a fatal mistake that would later lead to his downfall. He allowed Erles to witness his battles whenever he defended the pride from invading lions. Erles carefully observed and learned every move, memorizing the combat strategies and identifying the king's weaknesses. These lessons would later become the perfect way to defeat him. The time for battle had not yet come. The lionesses entered estrus, and Erles had the hormones driving him to mate. But there was a major problem: the king. He would not allow Erles to approach the females, unwilling to share his throne, even though he had been friendly with the strong young lion. The first mating season passed, with the king driving Erles away each time he attempted to approach a lioness. But how long could this continue? Erles began showing his frustration and discontent. Although he respected the lion who raised him, he stayed calm as long as he could, refusing to leave or abandon the pride. Erles carefully planned every step. When the younger lionesses entered estrus shortly afterward, it was another chance for him to mate. However, the king continued to monitor his every move. One hot afternoon, under the blazing sun, the king fell into a deep sleep. Erles seized the opportunity and mated with one of the lionesses. When the king awoke and realized what the young lion had done, he exploded with rage and charged at Erles, who was fully prepared for the confrontation. This was their first clash. Cameras had been monitoring the pride for a long time, anticipating this dramatic event. When the king tried to exile Erles and drive him away to find another pride to rule, Erles firmly refused. The next day, under the weight of shared fury, a bloody, deadly battle broke out between them. The fight was truly epic. Both lions engaged in a brutal confrontation, fueled by the king's hatred for the rebellious young male. But the king did not know that Erles, terrifying and massive, descendant of the legendary Notch line, would be such a powerful rival. Erles, who had respected his king for a long time, only wanted a shared leadership to help them both survive. The fire of battle raged, strikes exchanged endlessly, with terrifying roars filling the vast savannah. Neither lion would retreat. Each wanted victory, dominance, and pride of place in the pride. The fight lasted for hours, until dawn broke and the ruling king grew weary. Erles astonished everyone with his resilience and combat skill despite his youth. He crowned himself the new king of the pride. At his coronation, the instincts of his ancestors surged within him. He slaughtered all the cubs of the previous ruler, and all the lionesses submitted to him. Within weeks, he fathered his own strong offspring in the pride. Erles, ruthless and relentless, remained forgotten by his father. Every battle he fought to defend his pride reflected the distant legacy of the Notch coalition. It was as though every move, feint, and strike carried the mark of Notch's power. He refined his skills daily, turning hunting into a passion and hobby, especially when targeting large prey. The lionesses accompanied their new ruler on hunts, where he displayed his immense talent in ambush and killing. Erles never crossed paths with the Notch lions, but the records kept by wildlife protectors noted that he was the most aggressive among all registered Notch lions up to that time. During one particularly difficult hunt, Erles witnessed a lioness being killed by an enraged buffalo. At that moment, a lion named Boxer Noose appeared, seeking revenge for his queen. Boxer Noose placed his trust in King Erles, who helped him bring down the murderous buffalo. From then on, the two lions formed a powerful alliance, ruling side by side, expanding their territories together. This was the kind of friendship Erles sought, one that gave him the support he needed to strengthen his dominance and enlarge his kingdom. Stability and peace settled upon the pride under the joint leadership of these two powerful allies. The last recorded sighting of Erles and Boxer Noose was in 2020, when the mighty pair, accompanied by their pride, ventured toward one of the borders of the Masai Mara in search of new lands to conquer. Erles had proven himself, far from his father, to be a true descendant of the Notch lions, the strongest among them. Sadly, no further records or sightings of King Erles and his ally Boxer Noose have been found. But surely, this is not the end of their story. Time will reveal what fate has in store for this terrifying lion and his future bloodline, which carries the legacy of blood and glory.